Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a best-selling author, and of course, one of his advocacy: live strong or decay as you age. There's no middle ground, no other than Mr. Timothy Ward.
Hello, hello.
Welcome once again, Mr. Timothy, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure. So I have been in the business of adding years to people's lives through what we call building a health and longevity ecosystem for people. I originally started years and years ago, 30 years ago, as an exercise scientist training for performance for athletes. But slowly over time, I began to work with a lot of people that were in, the 40 to 50 year range, and they started to really have different things happen to them as they age, as we all do. So the last 10 years, maybe 12 years, our scope of what we do far exceeds just fitness practices. We actually go in depth for people, and we design entire ecosystems for them. And what I mean by that is it's not just fitness practices. We go into the nutritional design for them. We go into heart strength protocols. And believe it or not, we go into recovery protocols, which recovery and rest is a very big part of living a healthy lifestyle. So a lot of people have this image in their mind that if they're going to be healthy, they need to have these extreme hard workout fitness regimens. And the truth of the matter is, the more educated you are in exercise sciences, the more efficient you can become. So what that really means is you don't need to spend as much time in a gym or working out or trying to figure out what to eat and when to eat it. The more education you have, and this is what we do, we collapse those times for people so they can really truly get into a lifestyle that they don't have to wonder or worry if they're doing stuff the proper way. We get people into these systems that become very easy to manage for themselves because we do all the heavy lifting, as they say, right? We
Yeah.
design all that stuff for people, and now with our book being, my book being becoming a bestseller, I have people all over the world contacting me, and it's funny because I've always said that when it comes to health and longevity and quality of life, there are no borders. Okay, so we're all connected. Somebody that's living in Spain or Tokyo, right, or Italy, right, or Colombia, South America, they want the same thing. They want to be healthy and strong, and they want to have a quality life. And the basis of all that, no matter who you are, rich, poor, from a different country, it doesn't matter. The basis for all of this is having enough of a knowledge base on how to achieve that stuff. Now, some people just don't care. Well, they don't care if they're unhealthy and they live a lifestyle that is a toxic lifestyle. Okay. But more and more people are wanting to become healthy and strong, no matter what country they're from, no matter what type of job they have. It's a common thread among everybody. And I have a huge sample size because of the hundreds and hundreds of people I've worked with over the years. And it's really cool. I've made a lot of really great friends. I've really put people on a pathway to real longevity, real quality of life. And I love what I do. I love teaching that to people. And a lot of my book is about that. So I'm very lucky. I get to, work with people everywhere. And I really get to make an impact on their life. And that's a great thing. I'm very satisfied.
And thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Timothy. Thank you. And today, let's talk about your best-selling piece. Let's start with the powerful title. What does being the GOAT mean in your framework? And it's about
Mm,
external accolades and internal states of peak performance and vitality.
So the GOAT, the reason I chose the name of the book is, first of all, I wanted it to be a different type of title, right? Um, Most people have heard of the GOAT if you're a sports fan, especially. So the GOAT, it's an acronym, and GOAT stands for greatest of all time. Okay, and that really got ushered in with a couple really big sports stars, Tom Brady being the big quarterback, right? And he's won the most Super Bowls, et cetera, et cetera. And he was really, really well known for his performance on the field. He holds all sorts of records in the NFL football. Okay, and they call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And you hear that about different sports athletes that dominated their sports. Every single one of those people always brought their performance achievements back to their health regimen and how healthy they lived, their workout routines, all of those things. In other words, they couldn't have been that successful if they weren't healthy and strong through fitness and nutrition practices. So the GOAT within is a call out for people to say, hey, you have triggers inside of you. They're real scientific physiological triggers that can really make you stronger. They can make you more mobile. They can give you more energy. Okay, they can, obviously, the big one is live longer and live better. But how do you hit these triggers? How does that happen? And my book, The GOAT Within, is an example of how that stuff is done. How the average person who isn't a sports superstar, how can they use the same types of platforms and practices that the great athletes use? How can they use that in their everyday life? Most people have a husband or a wife, they've got a kid or two or three or four. Life becomes very busy for all of us.
Yes.
And the tragedy of that is we sort of put our greatest asset, which is our health and our well-being, it gets pushed to the back of the line because we're trying to pay the bills, we're trying to get an advancement in our work, we're trying to raise a family, and there's a lot of things that we have to juggle in our lives. So unfortunately, health and fitness and well-being, even basic fitness practice, right, it gets pushed to the back of the line, and it never really gets a priority in most people's lives. And I'm here trying to show people that you don't need to have this enormous fitness wellness regiment that you practice to reap the benefits of it. If you have the science behind you and you know how to really trigger these changes in your body, it really only takes 2 to 3 hours a week, and you can really, really change the health trajectory of your own life. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reach the common man, the common woman that really in the back of their head is concerned about their health and their well-being, but they don't really know what to do about it. And there's all sorts of misinformation on social media, online, even unfortunately, you go to a local gym, most, even the trainers, and I have a lot of friends that are trainers, they really don't have the formal training to take an average person and really show them how to move the needle on their health and their longevity. They just don't have it. And that's one of the issues in the fitness industry is there's no governing body that is out there that is taking trainers and these people that you find in gyms. It's a very basic, anybody can become a certified trainer on the weekend. You can find some program and you can take a test online. And, so that to me is a black spot, a black eye in the industry. A lot of unqualified people that pretend they know what to do. So they're trying to give advice to other people. And that's why the fitness failure is so high, meaning people that set out to maybe lose 20 or 30 pounds or to get a fitness routine so they can feel better and live a better life, they're really not getting the right information. And unfortunately, about 8 out of 10 people end up quitting because they don't see any results or there's no real structure for them to follow. So part of my book is addressing some of those issues. And most of the work I do and we do at my company really is customized one-on-one type of work. So I have a lot of people that go to our website, they read our website, and they end up emailing me, and they either get on a basic program with us and we do all the custom work for them, or some of them get on real long-term programs with us, 6 to 12-month programs. And those are the ones that really are serious about integrating some of these practices into their life so they can really live longer and live a more quality life. And at the end of the day, Daniel, everybody, no matter where you live, it comes down to the quality of your life, right? I with my 2 boys, I have 2 kids, very interactive with them. We surf. We actually fight jujitsu together.
Mhm.
Okay. So at my age at 61, I'm still very active I don't even think about it because I'm in really good shape because of what I've done over the last 30 years. I really practice what I preach. And a lot of my clients locally, they know that because, I work out with them and they see me and they know that my wisdom and my education and my experience is at a level where I actually practice it. And for that reason, I have a very, very strong, very large amount of people in our local area that always want to train with me and jump on and understand how to do all this stuff. So I'm on one hand, I've really earned it, right, over the last 30 years, being with the PhDs and the exercise scientists and all that stuff. But on the other hand, I'm very thankful and very grateful that I have assembled this amount of knowledge and experience coaching and working with all walks of life, right? That I have such a big sample size that when people come to me, I really can figure out a blueprint for them to really change their life. And that's what I'm all about, really helping people get to those levels, and been very successful at it.
And congratulations, Mr. Timothy, for that. Your subtitle presents a stark choice: healthy and strong versus sick and weak. Is this a permanent destination, or can someone oscillate between these states?
That's a great question and a great add-on that I've never heard anyone say, is this a permanent thing? So
Is
I will
it?
tell you in answering that question, it is a permanent thing either way if you go right or left. Okay. So the reason I use that as the subtitle of the book is to really get people thinking about, wow, okay, I do have a choice. I can live healthy and strong, or I can sort of nosedive into sick and weak. And I describe what that means in the book, and I'll talk about it quickly right now. So by the time you turn 45 years old, Okay. 45 years old. That's right around that age group. That is when one of the worst things starts to happen to the human body. And that is when we start to lose muscle off our body. Okay. Muscle is one of the major longevity markers in the human body. So the fact that by doing nothing, you are going to start to nosedive, you're going to start to lose this very valuable tissue on your body, muscle. Okay. Muscle is like a huge engine on our body. Obviously, it gives us strength. It gives us shape, but it does much more than that. It's a big part of our metabolic profile, meaning muscle consumes about 6 times more calories than fat. So the more muscle we have on our body, the higher our metabolic rate. So what that means is if we have a diet that's not really great, it's okay. The more muscle we have, it's a shield. It acts like a big sponge to eat up sugars and eat up sort of some of the bad things that we're feeding ourselves. So it's a big time protective layer on our body, not just something that looks better. Okay. The more muscle you have, the stronger your bones are. A lot of women, once they hit 45, 50, 60 years old, they start to have another big problem, not just muscle loss, but they start to get brittle bones. Okay. It's osteoporosis, and women really start to worry about that in their 50s and 60s, certainly in their 70s. That's when they have little mini slip and falls, and instead of their body sort of bouncing or absorbing the fall, their bones get so weak their bones shatter. We all know about the broken hips, the broken wrists, the broken elbows. And that happens because you have less muscle on your body. So you have a little bit less of a padding for the fall. But more importantly, muscle, when you use muscle, it pulls on the bone. Okay. Your muscle's attached to your bone, right? So when
Yes.
you have resistance against the muscle, it pulls on the connective tissue that pulls on the bone. When the bone is pulled on, it automatically starts to strengthen. It starts to add layers onto the bone to strengthen the bone. If you don't exercise the right way, the bone gets more and more brittle because there's no resistance pulling on the bone. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Mm.
Mr. Timothy, makes sense. And how does your book challenge the cultural narrative that burnout, chronic stress, and personal
Mm.
sacrifice are not just a
Mm.
cause of admission?
Great question. So a lot of companies are dealing with a big problem of burnout, right? A lot of corporate executives or people that just have really hard jobs, really demanding. That could be physical, that could be management, right? They're always stressed out over their management monthly reports, and they're trying to change things, all this stuff. So mental burnout is a real thing, and it's really growing across the world now. Okay, so the connections that scientists in research are starting to draw on your physical well-being, your strength, your nutritional habits, all those things. It's a direct line now they're finding, and I've been saying this for years. If you're healthy and strong physically, it it gives you much better clarity mentally, much better coping skills. You won't get sick. Like my clients rarely get colds or the flu. It's because of how we design our nutrition and our supplementation regimens with them. Very basic. They're nothing out of this world, right? My wife and I we never get sick. We haven't had a cold in 10 years because our physical metabolism, our levels of minerals in our body, which are the protective components of getting sick. We have high levels of those nutritional values. So our bodies can cope and fend off colds and the flu, right? All these things. So there's a direct correlation between being physically fit and strong and the mental health, the cortisol production in your brain, all the worry, right? All those things start to come into play. The more you worry, the more apt you are to get sick. And that comes from burnout. So, what I'm saying is the stronger you are, the more you can cope with the stresses at work, at home, in your personal life. It is indisputable now. There's so much evidence out there. I talk a little bit about those things in the book to sort of make people aware that the goat within, the principles I talk about in the book, I do storytelling, and then, I go into some of the science at the end, but I'm trying to reach people so they can understand that they do have a choice. And healthy and strong really will help the mental burnout. If you're sick and weak, that mental burnout is going to be it's going to be a burden on your shoulders. Okay, so there's a direct correlation, and that is really a great question because it's an answer that's far outside of actually a fitness routine. It's actually using the results of a good fitness routine will prepare your body, and you'll be able to fend off sickness and weakness and all bacteria problems. Your body can deal with it. We see it all. We see it across the board with our clientele base. Great question.
Thank you and great answer, Mr. Timothy. Truly, truly empowering answer. How does the contrast chase for external validations actually erode the very foundation of internal strength and health?
Mm, So, one of the big takeaways from my book, and this is something I've been dealing with for years and years and years with new clients that come on board. We have a whole onboarding process. It's a real great education for people. So we really dive into one of the first principles that we educate people on, and this is the first. Really, it's about the first 80 pages of my book. It talks about the toxic world we live in. When you start to understand the mass food supply that 95% of us eat from, right? Go to the grocery store, you buy food off the shelf. The toxicity levels of today's food supply is really quite frightening when you look behind the curtain and understand all the additives to extend shelf life, all the fake sugars, the fake fats, which they call trans fats, okay? The processing that goes on to package food and process them. This is probably one of the biggest takeaways in the book. And it's the one that I get the most comments on. The thank you, I get the emails. Thank you so much for clarifying the toxicity of our world. And food is the number one thing we have to understand how to choose specific foods we eat, because that's an external force, right? The food supply that we have to understand, and we have to deal with it in the right way. Other things like our water supply, right? I talk about most of the water supply, even bottled water, it's very toxic. Okay, not only does it have microplastics in it, but it has things like fluoride, okay, atrazine. These are chemical additives put into the water supply that will literally make your body toxic inside of you. When you have a toxic body inside from eating processed food, sugars, and all these processed toxins and shelf extenders to keep the food on the shelf for six weeks, right? When you have that environment inside your body, there is absolutely no way your body can thrive because it's closing all these doors. And that is why the world is becoming sick. The United States is in the lead. We are the sickest nation in the world, yet we're the most wealthy nation. However, I just did a big article for a major magazine, a global magazine, and I studied the globalization of processed foods. And you see countries like China, India, South America, the processed food distributors, the ones that have all the garbage food and the, you know, soda and the Gatorades and all the snack food and even health bars are not healthy. They're laced with sugars that tear the human body apart. Okay. But the growth of these companies are going into these other countries. And now the obesity rates and the disease and sickness rates of these other countries are starting to skyrocket just along the same line as the amount of processed food that's being distributed in these countries. An example of that is China, right? Years, decades ago, used to have a low obesity rate, a higher longevity rate. The westernized processed foods that we all eat in the US have now gone into China big time. McDonald's, Taco Bell, right? Soda companies, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Okay. 22 years ago, there was not one Kentucky Fried Chicken in China. There's over 7,000 of them today. That's an example of processed foods. They use things like seed oils that are highly toxic to the human body. And I write about them in the book. And I would urge any of your listeners, go onto Amazon. It'll be the best $18 you ever spend. This book is packed with information that can really help you navigate. And really, I'm telling you, everyone will get at least 3 or 4 things out of my book, probably more. I'm trying to be conservative, but there's going to be things that hit you that I've written about, and you can bring them into your life and make some changes in your life. But those external forces of highly processed foods, man-made sugars, man-made sweeteners, they are literally, I call them weapons of mass destruction, because they're killing society. They are literally cancer rates and all these different problems that people have. And what do they tell you to do? Go to pharmaceuticals. Oh, get another prescription. That's the other external thing. We're being led to treat our sickness with more chemicals, with more pharmaceuticals, and it never ends. This is why the world, if you look at the world rates on longevity, obesity, disease, guys, it's growing. The problem isn't going away, it's getting worse. And this is why I wrote this book, is to be a beacon of light to people, that they can nestle in. It's over 300 pages, this book. Even if you go bounce around the book and read different sections, that's fine. I prefer people to read the whole thing. I'm telling you, it's going to affect certain people that get that book and really read it to start to understand it. And that, at the end of the day, that's my goal, is to help as many people I can, no matter what you do, no matter if you're a fitness person or not a fitness person. Get the book, okay, and dig into it. And I'm telling you, you're going to find areas in that book that are going to really turn on a light for you, and maybe just get you a little further ahead, so you can live healthy and strong and not age into sickness and weakness, which 98% of the world does. I'm telling you, it's a huge issue.
Well, to wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Timothy, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and my book 101 review in 5th season too, comedy 101 2nd season, and my food 101 in 5th season as well, geography 101 4th season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in 4th season, and my movie 101 review, music 101 4th season, and science 101 and sex 101 in 2nd season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Timothy, after all your research and reflection, how do you answer the book core question for yourself? Is it truly possible to be the goat and remain truly healthy and strong, or is it some degree of sickness or inevitable price of peak performance?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I've taken hundreds of people, and they have literally changed their life around by following the principles, and they're not hard to do, but the sample size I have is so big that I know people that go through the book and maybe go to our website, fitnessquadrant.net. There's a lot of great information in there that can really affect you in a positive way. And again, this is the push we're trying to make. And I've seen it with hundreds of people that I've worked with completely change their life. You can see it in the front part of my book, just all the accolades. We put in 20 or 30 people that I've worked with. Just read what they have to say about this system. And it is a cross section of men, women, all different ages. But I promise people will get something really valuable out of this book.
Indeed, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Timothy, and hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come.
Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Yes, so can you please invite our listeners to support your debut book, and congratulations for being a bestseller and a
Thank you.
best-selling author. Where do people can buy it?
Go to Amazon. It's just now I'm on, I don't know how many countries the book is in now. Amazon's the best place to get it. But I'm on Barnes & Noble, Apple, all these different distributors. But go to Amazon, The Goat Within, you'll see it. Get it. It's going to really help you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Timothy Ward, because if you support him, as I said, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Timothy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. God bless.
More to come, people. See you soon.